Welcome to Our Girl Relationships. We talk about the problems people face in their day to day lives. Let's start with the video. I'm a 27-year-old male and I work for a global company and manage the foreign business affairs. My job requires me to take frequent trips around the world, something which gives me no stability in my life in regards to relationships. Despite this, I have been married for 4 years and have a son who's 2. I'm very protective about my family and I desperately miss them when I'm away on work trips, but they understand the situation, or I thought they did. My recent work trip was longer than usual and I had given my wife the heads up about it way back. She wasn't very happy with being apart from me for 6 months, but she made the compromise knowing that our income depends on my job. I felt very guilty and bought my family like a million trinkets while on my trip. I knew that if these kind of trips continued, I would always be absent from my family's lives. In fact, I had planned to have a discussion about it with my boss once I returned from the trip and quit the job if they couldn't ensure that my travels were as minimal as possible. If only I knew what had been waiting for me at home. When I returned from the trip, I was excited to see my wife and son again, for them to tell me how much they missed them, and to see their excitement when they saw the gifts I brought back. However, I was in for a rude shock. I had gone home expecting them to be waiting for me as they knew the exact date of my return. However, the house was suspiciously empty, and even though I went around the entire house looking for my family, I found no one. Well, no one other than a note. I found the note stuck on the refrigerator, written hurriedly as if without any care for the words that were on there. It was addressed to me from my wife and basically told me that they were gone forever. She had taken my son and left my life forever because she had fallen in love with someone else due to my constant absences from her life, and she had decided to move in with him and take my son along with her. She was unhappy with me, and forcing herself to remain with me despite our problems was making her stressed. She found love elsewhere and wanted me to move on with my life like she had. Honestly, I thought it was a joke at first. I couldn't believe that she could be so cruel enough to hurt someone she had loved for years in such a way, that she would ever cheat on me while I was away. She had gone behind my back and taken my child with her, leaving me all alone. I had been expecting to return back to my family, but it seemed like I had none left. I was feeling quite numb, and I really didn't know how to react to this kind of an occurrence. It didn't make things better that the person she cheated on me with was a longtime friend of hers. He had been coming over a lot, apparently to help her with the kids and to look after her. Things progressed rapidly when she decided to use him to fill up the loneliness that she felt with me being away. Apparently, he cared about my son too, which made her decision to move in with him even easier. She said that she needed stability in her life, and he provided her with that. He is there for our son as a paternal figure, and he always helps her out whenever she needs him instead of disappearing for months on end. Honestly, I get where she's coming from, and maybe I would have done the same had I been in her position. I mean, there is never any excuse for cheating, but in this circumstance, maybe I can understand why she felt trapped in our relationship and why this seemed like an out to her. If she's happy with him and he is what she needs, then it's better for me to let her go. Holding on to something that's not yours can only hurt you. I guess I have to get the divorce papers ready because I'm not going to keep her with me against her will. All I will request for is joint custody of our child so that I won't have to be separated from him. I honestly don't want to end our marriage, but if she's in love with someone else, forcing her to stay married to me will only make both of us unhappy. I have called up my lawyer and he will be coming with all the necessary information. I'm honestly quite scared that she will keep my son away from me, but I don't think she will do that. She's not that mean. At least that's what I think. I hope my prediction does come true and she doesn't end up becoming the vindictive sort. I love my son, and even though my job requires me to stay away a lot, I really do care about him. The unexpected happened. I sent the divorce papers to my wife and she refused to sign them. She wants access to all of my property and wants our finances to remain merged even after the divorce. Without this clause added, she refused to sign the papers and instead dragged me to court to fight custody for our son, which she would most likely win, seeing as the mother usually gets custody in most cases. I had not expected my wife of 4 years to behave in this manner. I never thought that she would have her eyes on my property or that she would want to blackmail me in this manner in order to take advantage of me monetarily. I was not going to back down, though. Now, this was a battle. She had decided to bring the custody of my son into this. I was not going to let this go and contacted my lawyer at once, asking him for advice. He advised me to keep a record of her response to my request for divorce and told me that even if I didn't win the custody battle, there is no way for her to drag my property out of me or force me to keep our finances merged, since it was illegal to force those things anyway. I was not going to back down, though. Now, this was a battle. She had decided to bring the custody of my son into this. I was not going to let this go and contacted my lawyer at once, asking him for advice. He advised me to keep a record of her response to my request for divorce and told me that even if I don't win the custody battle, there is no way for her to drag my property out of me or force me to keep our finances merged, since it was illegal to force those things anyway. He understood me, and having known my wife for a while, knew that she would focus only on the material aspect and use everything within her power to get to me, even our child. I wish I could have kept him out of this, but that isn't going to happen, it seems. My wife came over yesterday. She seemed to think that all of her actions could be washed away with sweet words of apology and proceeded to tell me how much she loves me and how much of a mistake it was to leave me in the first place. I had guessed that this apologetic demeanor was less about her regretting her decision to leave me and more about the fact that she would lose access to all of my material wealth if she went through with the divorce. She reminded me that I could be as mad and hurt at her as I wanted, but my son needed me and missed me. She kept mentioning old memories and how much she missed me. She told me that her decision to leave had been the spur of the moment and only been made because of her own insecurities, not because of me. She still loved me, and nothing could ever change that. Not even her new lover, whom she was definitely not in love with, because it had always been me. I had to stop her tirade here. I was tired of listening to these lies, and it was hard for me to digest that about my wife. The woman I was once in love with was so ready to take advantage of me and my wealth and use me to meet her selfish needs. I was angrier at the fact that she thought it was appropriate to use our 2-year-old son to emotionally manipulate me and force me to make a decision benefiting her. She wasn't cut out to be a wife or a mother, and I told her so. I reminded her that during my trips, I was lonely too. I missed my family and I had no one to turn to. It would have been just as easy for me to find random strangers to cheat on her with. However, I had too much moral integrity to even contemplate doing something like that. I loved her and I wanted to remain loyal to her through everything, something which she clearly failed at. Also, she had told me multiple times that she didn't love me anymore, but the moment there was the prospect of being removed from my material wealth, she was suddenly completely in love with me. This complete turnabout was only due to her greed, and I said so, showing her exactly what kind of a horrible person she was being. At this point, she moved on, threatening me, reminding me that if I didn't listen to her, I'd never see my son ever again. I should simply agree to not divorce her so that my son would be with me still. She had not realized that the man she was leaving me for was not as well off as me, or she wouldn't have left me. Honestly, that hurt more than anything because I realized that nothing mattered to her more than money. I told her to leave my house and never return. I'm tired of listening to her and being manipulated by her. I will not stand for this any longer. I may have loved the woman I thought she used to be once, but now that I have seen her true colors, I'd rather have nothing to do with her at all. I'm definitely going through with this divorce, and although I'm heartbroken, I also feel strangely relieved to finally be out of the clutches of a demon like her. I'm glad she showed her real face so soon, or else she would have kept using me and I would have no idea. If I don't get the shared custody of my son, I will definitely regret it, but I will regret staying with that monster more. I hope that this doesn't end up too messy because I honestly don't have the energy for that anymore. OP worked so hard for his family in order to support their needs and luxuries, and the wife couldn't simply be faithful? This proves that if you're wealthy, there are always people who want to use you. Poor OP. He shouldn't have had to face this. I hope OP gets to keep the kid. He doesn't deserve such an entitled mom. OP did what he had to in order to support his family. While it's understandable to have difficulty staying with an absent husband, the wife could have asked for a divorce instead of cheating. The fact that she didn't proves that she was in this solely for OP's money. Background. The bride, 24-year-old female, and I, 25-year-old female, have been best friends for 15 years, and we have always been on good terms with zero fights previously. This may be chalked up to the fact that I absolutely hate conflict, so I always try to either de-escalate situations or simply adhere to her wishes. She has been planning a wedding for close to 2 years now, and she asked me to be her maid of honor as soon as she got engaged. I was ecstatic to be a part of this happy time for her, but that excitement has slowly started dying down because of how she's been treating me the last few months. My final straw with her happened over this weekend during her bridal shower. I arrived early to set up decorations, games, food, etc. before the event because I wanted to make sure that she'd have a memorable day. Everything looks beautiful, and when my best friend got there, she looked thrilled until she saw my white nails. I could see that she was staring at my hands and making a face, but she initially brushed it off when I asked what was wrong. We started to get ready for some fun bridal games when my friend pulled me aside to have a private chat. I assumed it would be about how the day was going, but what she said honestly just hurt my feelings. She told me she wanted me to either rip off my nails or go home because she felt like the white nails were a subtle dig at her or a way for me to take attention off of her, as white is 100% reserved for the bride. I absolutely did not wear them on purpose. I had bought cute little press-on nails for a date with my boyfriend and just hadn't taken them off. Anyway, I told her so. I would not be taking them off because this situation was honestly ridiculous, and it wasn't like I was wearing a white dress or anything to take the attention from her. As I said before, I absolutely hate conflict, so I think the fact I was standing up to her caught her off guard. She looked stunned, and then she started tearing up and saying I was trying to ruin the day for her. Her mom came over to ask what was wrong, and I tried to explain it was just a misunderstanding. But my friend told me to leave because I wasn't respecting her wishes as the bride. I did what I was told and I left the event. And now people are messaging me saying I should have just taken the nails off. Her fiancé even asked me to apologize and make up so the wedding can run smoothly in a few days. Apparently, she didn't think I'd actually leave and thought I'd rip off my nails after her threat. Honestly, I'm just really confused about how this all happened. It's making me question my friendship with her. My boyfriend said she's acting jealous, and I didn't do anything to warrant her reaction. But honestly, I'm starting to feel like the a-hole. All I had to do was take the stupid nails off and let the day go smoothly. I genuinely don't know if I messed up or not, or if she's just being controlling. So, am I the a-hole? NTA, they are nails. I get not wearing a white dress, but never heard of not being able to wear white nails. She needs to get a grip and get over herself. NTA, if this is her hill to die on, so be it. She lost her mind and threw you out for press-on nails. If she can't realize she messed up, I'd say stay home. Not because you cannot wear white nails, but because of the disrespect and disregard for all your efforts. You sound like a fantastic and very thoughtful friend, but friendship is a two-way street. How does she take care of you? Background. I have 3 kids, 14 female, 16 female, and 25 female. They used to get along great. Then the 14-year-old female got a cat for her birthday, and the 16-year-old female hated him. I think she's scared of him, but she refuses to admit it. So she used it as an excuse to not have much of a relationship with her sister. She's also been more distant with the rest of the family in an attempt to distance herself from her sister and her cat. My husband also dislikes the cat, but he doesn't let it affect his relationship with his family. My husband and I were at our friend's birthday party last week. We were supposed to be out late, and 14 and 16 were home alone. 16 was taking the family dog out, and 16's cat was trying to play and was swiped at her feet. 16 called 14 to get her shithead cat away from her and told her what the cat was doing. Apparently, 14 took her time to get there, then laughed, called the cat a good boy, and gave him a treat. 14 denied it, but it sounds like something she'd do. This sparked an argument between the two, and 16 kept cursing the cat out. She knows this hurt 14, and 14 retaliated by cursing her out. 16 responded by telling 14 that she doesn't love her and hasn't for a long time. She hates her. She's so excited for the day that she gets to move out and never speak to her or see her again. This deeply hurt 14 because family is extremely important to her, and 25 lives nearby but never asks her to hang out and only speaks to her a couple of times a year, which is already very hard on her. Then, to rub salt on the wound, she grabbed a treat, called the cat's name, and threw the treat outside. The cat chased it, and 14 spent over an hour looking for her cat. 16 called my husband and told him about their argument, and 14 called me and told me what 16 did with the treat, so we had to leave early. When I got home, I grounded 16 because she escalated the argument by cursing the cat out, then hurt her sister by going on that spiel about how she hates her and she's going to be alone, then for throwing the treat, but my husband underground her and said that 14 should be punished for laughing and giving the cat a treat when he was trying to scratch 16. 14 asked if anything was going to happen to 16 for what she said and did, and 16 yelled that she meant everything. I told 16 that she ruined my weekend and not to speak to me. My husband took her side and has been sleeping on the couch since, and 16 hasn't spoken to me or 14 since the argument. Last night, I found my husband helping 16 pack and getting her important documents out of the safe. When I asked what he was doing, he said 16 was going to stay with 25. I told him 16 wasn't going anywhere, but he ignored me and went back to packing. 16 is gone now, and my husband is still on the couch. AITA for telling my daughter not to speak to me? Whoa, whoa, whoa. You're telling us that the teenage daughters got into a fight, and by the end of the day, your husband aided the 16-year-old in packing to go live with her sister, and she left to do so? And there was no summit between the parents to discuss this? It sounds like your daughters communicate with each other about as well as you and your husband do, which is to say, not very well. Your family is falling apart. Let go of your pride and start working on this. Until then, YTA. This is so much bigger than a cat. This family sounds incredibly dysfunctional, purely for the fact that she has driven 16-year-old out of the house. I'd say YTA here, OP. This post is way above our pay grade here, though. I feel like everyone needs individual and family therapy here, like a lot of it.